Just a moment. Just a moment, please. はい、本日は、お忙しいところイベントにご参加いただきましてありがとうございます。本日のイベントですね、クランフィールド大学よりですね、ロンさんにお越しいただきまして、国際機関や NGO で働きたい方必見、キャリアアップに活かせる、サステナビリティの修士号のコースについて、プレゼンテーションしていただきます。本日ですね、こちらのイベント、YouTube でもライブストリームされておりますので、マイクやカメラはですね、オフの状態のままでご参加お願いいたします。またご質問等ありましたら、チャットボックスの方に入れていただきましたら、最後の方でですね、お時間残ってましたら、私の方から質問させていただくことも可能ですので、ご質問ありましたらお気軽にチャットボックスの方から、ご質問いただけたらと思います。それではですね、本日、よろしくお願いいたします。So could you start your presentation?
Sure. You see my presentation?
I can't see your presentation.
Let's
Are you
try
sharing
again.
the screen?
You see it now?
Yes.
Right. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or evening in Japan. I was just there last December, and it's great to be talking to people from Japan again. It was a wonderful visit, an incredible country, and I sure hope that we can carry on building and developing the links between us and Japan. It falls to me to present the teaching provision we have around sustainability and around environment. And that's precisely the point we were in Japan for. And later I will present some slides around the work we were doing currently with Japan. So my name is Ronald Corstanje. I'm head of center for the Cranfield Environment Center. And my center sits in the School of Water, Energy and the Environment. Cranfield University is quite a unique university. It is postgraduate only, and it's one of the top UK research institutes. We have a proud heritage of about 75 years. We started as an amalgamation of a College of Agricultural Sciences, Aeronautic Sciences and Defense, and since then we've built from that heritage to be one of the top research institutions. We're exclusively postgraduate, which means that we have quite a focused teaching provision. We have relatively small classes you will be joining, and all our classes are taught by people that are research active and busy with real-world solutions. We have incredible links to industry, and I will talk about that in a little while. So what is it you're doing at Cranfield? Well, Cranfield has a number of strong heritage points, and a lot around Cranfield you'll be speaking about and understanding is around engineering. The environment and the space that I speak from is the environmental sciences component. But again, at Cranfield, we do environmental sciences slightly differently. And one of the things we're very strong at, and we have a proud heritage, is very much around the digital and digital space. We think of digital, and we think of the digital revolution as a way to really address some of the substantive challenges we have in our climatic and environmental conditions. And really, you can see here the kind of work that Cranfield sits at. So if you look at this slide, you have the 4 industrial revolutions. The first one was very much around mechanization. The second one around mass production. But the 2 that are in color, which are the 2 that I present on the right-hand side of the slide, one of them is around robotics, the top being around robotics and manufacturing. And we have a very strong robotics team at Cranfield. And the below one is robotics around agriculture. And again, we do a lot around robotics in agriculture and environment. But really where Cranfield hits its strength and is valuable is in the digital and the digital space and digital solutions. And it is around digital that we really develop solutions which both transform industry transform our society, and address some of the substantive challenges we have, both in terms of climate change, but also some of the other big environmental challenges such as biodiversity loss. And digital is kind of when the real and the digital are irretrievably melded. So it's kind of that space whereby in digital space, we can do things which in reality then cascade to reality. So where will you be going? What is Cranfield about? Where is Cranfield located? Cranfield University is about 40 minutes north of London. And I have another slide that kind of positions it spatially. But this particular slide presents it far better in my view, because this is a slide that came out of the UK government infrastructure and investment group. And kind of they were looking to understand where in the UK it's best to invest UK taxpayer money for really developing the next generation and the next strong motor of UK economy. And this is what we call the Oxford to Cambridge arc. So to the left here, where you see biosciences and space, is Oxford. To the right, biosciences, electronics, and digital is Cambridge. And as you can tell, Cranfield's right in the middle between those two centers of excellence. Milton Keynes is not far. To the north, we have high performance engineering. So we sit in this space just north of London, which is very high-tech, has high-tech development, high-performance engineering, food tech, biosciences, and all these things are elements that live and work and kind of we bring together at Cranfield University. It is one of the most exciting geographic spaces to be in the United Kingdom. In terms of where it is physically in geography, Cranfield is in Bedfordshire, England, situated between London and Birmingham. It's about 30 to 40 minutes from London. And the range of on-campus facilities include sports and fitness centers, shops. There's almost 40 clubs in society, and there's an on-campus accommodation. So it gives you a flavor of where we are geographically. But for me, far more exciting is where we are in terms of capability, expertise, and technological capability in the United Kingdom. The university is divided into 4 schools, 8 thematic areas: water, energy, and environment, which is my school, aerospace, transport, and manufacturing, Cranfield Defence and Security, and Cranfield School of Management. But I'd like to iterate again, one of the key exciting things to come to study at Cranfield is that a lot of our courses are across schools. So one of our courses, for instance, Environmental Management for Business, is taught by Water, Energy, Environment and by the School of Management. So you'll have modules from the School of Management and modules from our own environmental team here at the Water, Energy and Environment. Other courses we are currently developing cross from energy and environment into aerospace, and I'll speak a little bit more later about that. Our vision is to be valued globally for tackling real-world issues of today to deliver a sustainable future. 88% of our research is world-leading. We are 7th, both for research impact in food, agriculture, veterinary science, and in business and management. We're also 7th in engineering power. So what's the kind of work you'll be doing? This gives you a bit more granularity, get more flavor of the kind of work and the kind of thesis projects you'll be doing. So we will be working with industry. My background is strongly working with industry. And again, I'll bring some examples to the end where we're working with Japanese industry. But the 2 pictures to the left and the right are outputs from my MSc students and the kind of work they've done on their thesis projects, which have then led to publications. The left is very much around connectivity and co-use of spatial ecological networks. And this is in a city in Belgium, Liège. And that kind of describes how people could use green space across a city system. To the right is another student of mine who worked on hydrological systems and understanding how land use and land management, so how we use the land and understand the land, how that affects our stream flow and the kind of storm flow we can expect. These were detailed, well-described, well-developed studies that we were later able to publish. So this gives you a flavor of some of the endpoints can be at Cranfield University. Our master's courses at Cranfield are focused. They're very much based on our world-leading research, and they very much develop our world-leading research, as I just described with the two case examples. It's driven by industry and job market needs. One of the things that I truly enjoy when I teach at Cranfield is describing how the job market and job situation functions. I use real-world examples, and I place students in case examples through storyboarding, the kind of work experience they might expect once they've graduated from Cranfield. Class sizes are relatively small. Because we're postgraduate only, you get a high staff to student ratio, individual personal development. We know our students, and we know our students well, and we try to ensure that every one of them develop as towards their needs, their interests, and their capabilities. We certainly enhance the skills and expertise to ready our students for employment. A lot of the work, the thesis work, the research work, is done around co-production, co-creation. So we spend time with our students understanding their interests and developing the course material around their interests. It's active and experiential learning. I've just spent an hour lecturing before I came here, and I very much base it on real-world examples. The class is engaged, challenging, and we end up having some very interesting, deep conversations about the material I was trying to teach, which is environmental science. We have authentic assessment strategies, and we use digital tools to improve inclusivity and widen participation. Our work is transdisciplinary. Like I said, a number of our MSCs are taught across schools for members of faculty from very different schools. And that, again, is a very unique Cranfield offering and proposition. When you join Cranfield, you are joining Cranfield University, and you will be able to access the best of what the entire university has to offer, not just a particular faculty or a particular school or a particular department. Our teaching is very much based in our research, and I would argue it's more than our research, because a lot of our research is funded by and is focused on industry. So it is experiential-led teaching, where we bring to the classroom the professional experience that our lecturers have. And we embed sustainability across the curriculum, research themes, and operations. We are very, very active in that sustainability space. So what's the course structure and what does it look like? We have a set of taught modules. They start around October, about 80 credits, 800 hours. They make about 40% of the total final workload or grade. This is a combination of lectures and seminars, face-to-face and online, debates. We have quite a lot of active discussion spaces, lab work, field work, assignments, and private study. You then move on to a group project. And the neat thing about a group project is it tends to be industry-led or problem-led from an external interested party. It basically is around team working, so you'll join students from other MSCs. So we tend to mix things up, representing the real-world situation. So you will represent your discipline and your expertise on this team to solve a problem. It lasts, it's 200 credits, it's 40 credits, 400 hours. It goes from about February to April. It's multidisciplinary, integrated studies, and really develops those professional skills. Then finally, you will do a research thesis with a supervisor. This tends to be more scientifically oriented, and the two examples I gave in the previous slide are outcomes from these theses from two students of mine. You learn how to think of it in terms of research, and this, again, oftentimes is linked to externally funded projects or interests from external partners. So at all points in time, you're engaged with industry or with other larger research spaces if you're more interested in research, and you're engaged with that really deep applied research community at Cranfield. Why digital and why sustainability? Well, a digital environment makes a more sustainable environment, so the two are engaged together. And this gives you a flavor of the kind of thinking and the kind of work that we do. And this is where we've put a lot of our thesis and a lot of our topics together. We work on circular economy. We work on data capture, precision science, precision systems thinking. We do a lot of work around carbon capture, carbon neutrality, ecosystems, ecology, sustainability, then digital around citizen empowerment. These are all kind of flavors and activities that basically are covered by our taught program, but also by our thesis program in that sustainability and environment piece. This, of course, maps onto the Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm really proud to say that we recently came up as one of the top universities in the UK around addressing the UN Sustainability Goals through our impact. And that was a tremendous achievement. And the sustainability goals sit at the heart of everything we do. They drive very much how we devise our curriculum, how we deliver our curriculum, how we devise our research, how we deliver our research, and how we address some of the big challenges that we try to address that face society at the moment, whether this is food security, climate adaptation, mitigation, biodiversity, ecosystem restoration, or substantive other challenges around that. And we are very solution focused. We're always looking to see how we can improve people's lives. How can we improve society? So within Cranfield, we have a set of themes, and those themes basically then translate into taught courses. One of them is energy and sustainability. So that in energy, we're very much focused around understanding how to make the energy system more sustainable. And the graduates from that really have to understand the drives around net zero and the challenges that arise from net zero. At Cranfield, we create leaders in technology and management. So basically, the energy and sustainability MSCs very much focus on developing the experts that help the sector to transition to a fully decarbonized system. You will be kind of working with industry and industry practitioners, and they'll teach you alongside subject specialists. So we have a lot of people from industry that come and lecture on our courses. The MSCs that we have in energy and sustainability are Advanced Mechanical Engineering, Renewable Energy MSc, Advanced Chemical Engineering MSc, and Advanced Digital Energy MSCs. And these give you a flavor of the kind of MSCs you could join if you were interested in improving the energy system, improving understanding of the energy systems, and getting into that sector so critical to understanding how we're going to transition to a fully decarbonized society. Underpinning all of this, there's a set of research and lab facilities which you'll be able to join. Your thesis or group projects will be part of that. We have a structural integrity laboratory, an energy technology laboratory, energy materials laboratory, process systems engineering, and an energy process. These are all real world at scale facilities, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. The second strand of teaching we have at Cranfield is agri-food. And this is really aimed at providing the world's growing population with a sustainable, secure supply of safe, nutritious, and affordable food using less land, with lower inputs in the context of global change. So these MSCs really much address food security and how we are going to feed the world, given the fact that we are under severe pressure from climate change and from urbanization, which means we have to get more from less land using less inputs. Our agri-food MSc very much meets the training needs in the food sector, particularly around a strong sustainability component, addressing how we supply and manufacture food in a nutritious way that remains and retains that sustainability component. Again, in these MSCs, we have industry specialists and we have representatives of industry that come and co-lecture alongside subject specialists. And the setup is quite similar to our energy system. Our courses are three on that. One is a very successful course around bioinformatics. So if you're interested in gene technology, I strongly encourage you to look into the bioinformatics MSc. Food systems and management is very much around the farm to fork system. So how food is produced on the farm, how it's then manufactured, and how it then ends up in the supermarket. So if you're interested in kind of going into that food manufacturing space, and we work with some of the very big companies in this space, McDonald's, PepsiCo, Unilever, basically they come and help co-lecture this space And in so doing, we produce the graduates that these large corporations are very interested in recruiting. Future Food Sustainability is probably one of the more successful MSCs we have in this space. And this very much is around how do we ensure that our food is secure, nutritious, but maintains and retains sustainability components. How do we ensure that we can still produce food and become net zero? How do we decarbonize the food system? The research facilities that underpin this at Cranfield are a myriad, and they go all the way from a cutting-edge bespoke greenhouse, which basically has robotics and robotic systems to grow plants. To the left, there are growth chambers where we can vary CO2 and temperature levels and understand how plants respond to different atmospheric and climatic conditions, all the way to our soil research, which is a brown building to the right. That is the UK National Soil Research Institute, and it contains in it the Land Information System and Soil Archive for England and Wales, and for the world. Then the component that I belong to as the Environment Center is the Environment Strand of Teaching. The Environment Strand of Teaching, again, is very Cranfield oriented. It's solutions oriented. How do we address and what solutions can we develop for some of the very big environmental challenges we have in front of us? The environment is renowned for its transformative, solutions-driven approach that can have tangible and positive impacts for students, businesses, policy, so government, and wider society. We're transdisciplinary, so a lot of our environment teaching involves more than just the environment team. It involves the management team, it involves aeronautics, it involves engineering, it involves energy. And we work, again, very closely with industry, strong input for experts from industry, and we bring in industry from across sectors. So this is not only a sectorial component like the previous MSCs, energy, food, aviation. We bring specialists from across industry and government to really talk about some of the sustainability challenges that they face and how they address them. Our Environment MSc courses are 4. We have Environmental Engineering MSc. This is a very engineering focused, but also talks about nature-based solutions, and is very much about how can we engineer our immediate environment to be more sustainable, and what solutions do we have to some of our challenges. Environmental Management for Business addresses the business component around environment. How do you embed sustainability in business? How do you do change management? So if you're interested in becoming part of a sustainability team in any business, then this is the course for you. It will teach you how to understand policy, environmental metrics. How do you measure sustainability? How do you understand sustainability? And then how do you embed good sustainability practices in the business you'll join? Global Environmental Change MSc is where you, in essence, are more interested in the environmental backdrop to environmental change. So this is around climate change, climate adaptation, mitigation, but also ecosystem restoration, biodiversity loss. This is really where you're interested in tackling some of the big environmental challenges that we have facing us, and you wish to become part of that solutions-driven space where you're looking at how we can resolve some of these challenges. Advanced GIS and Remote Sensing, which is the course I've just come back from teaching on, very much focuses on the digital tools and AI-based tools to better understand how we can manage, monitor, and understand our environment. Each has their own pathway. Each has tremendous success in terms of professional placement, and each addresses that core environmental challenge slightly differently from either a technological, from a business, or from a science, or from a data-driven approach. Our research labs and facilities around there are wide, and they mirror and overlap a bit what we have in agri-food. Cranfield is an urban observatory. The entire Cranfield campus is entirely censored up, so we can measure and monitor how environment changes. We have substantive lab facilities. But one of the unique things at Cranfield is we have the facility for airborne and atmospheric management on campus, where we can measure climate change, we can monitor how the climate is behaving. We can monitor greenhouse gas emissions. So we have a very strong atmospheric research community here at Cranfield. Our next strand of research, or teaching, sorry, at Cranfield is around water science. And in water science, the communities around the face a range of threats around sustainability, resilience of water systems. And water, of course, supports lives and livelihoods. They're at the basis of life and livelihoods. Cranfield graduates are the forefront of developing innovative solutions around problems caused by water pollution, but then on top of that, as mentioned before, climate change, urbanization, effects of poverty, and the need to deliver net zero in water services. So the water MSc meet the training needs of the water sector, and the water sector, of course, ranges from managing, supplying, and retaining water to supplying fresh water to dealing with waste and pollution problems. And our graduates from the water MSc are very focused on that water space. We have 3 courses on this: Water and Sanitation Development MSc, Advanced Water Management MSc, and Water and Wastewater MSc. Water and Sanitation Development MSc focuses on developing nations, focuses on challenges where water is scarce, which happens in many countries, and the technology and solutions we have around that. The Advanced Water Management MSc very much focuses on catchment management, where water sits in a landscape and how you can manage it, flood protection, flood retention, that kind of space. And Water and Wastewater Engineering MSc is very much, again, around that technological solutions about where we're going to get clean water from, how we're going to deal with water pollution. And increasingly, as we move towards a hydrogen economy, water is going to become critical to supplying, to be a core feedstock to producing hydrogen, and hydrogen very much and water are combined. So there's a strong overlap between our energy needs, or increasingly strong overlap between our energy needs and our water needs, and the conflict between the requirements of water for food, for drinking, and for the production of energy. We have at Cranfield our own wastewater treatment plant, which we can experiment with. And we have the George Schult building to the right there, which is a bespoke new building around point use of water treatment development laboratory. Finally, we have a set of courses around design engineering, and this is very much around how to embed design in the engineering process. And that's a strategic offering to build and implement new consumer experiences. So this is really about how one designs a new product, or how one thinks about designing new consumer offerings. So it blends together teaching and research practice to make how one can imagine a product to be into reality. So design engineering meets strong training needs of industry, has strong input in experts, and again, industry practitioners teach alongside a wide range of subject specialists. So the design course itself is designed very carefully to advance your knowledge of design thinking, and you'll be benefiting, again, working along leading academics in this space. That you'll develop the confidence to generate design ideas, development ideas for manufacturing, and you'll do that embedded within the wider Cranfield ecosystem around aerospace manufacturing and transport. So in effect, you sit at the ideation space of the manufacturing process, and this particular set of courses, of course, overlap very closely with the courses and the expertise developed in our manufacturing component. So this very much sits around how can we be creative around manufacturing? How can we start developing things like digital twins? Can we use digital tools to help ideate better? And it's quite an interesting course in that kind of design and design thinking. The facilities at Cranfield is the Center for Design Engineering. It houses world-class facilities. There's an open studio space with flexible lecturing space. And there is a whole set of 3D printers where you can rapidly prototype equipment. So you are able to both, in this MSc, design potential new products for clients in industry and develop demos from that, or develop prototypes from that using 3D printing capability. So our learner capability, so as you can see, we teach on a wide range of MSCs that range all the way from environment and sustainability and embedding sustainability in business, to transforming our energy sector, to transforming our water sector, to transforming our manufacturing sector. So that wide range of MSCs basically appeal to quite a wide range of sectorial interest, and we have very specific sectorial interests, say for instance in water sciences, but we also have a far wider sectorial interest. And in essence, our graduates end up in a quite wide range of sectors, and they usually are professionally successful. So this list here gives you a sense of the kind of environments, the kind of sectors where our graduates end up coming from and end up working in. And here, this gives you a set of examples of group and thesis projects. This is just, again, to give you that flavor of what we've done and how we've developed that. For instance, we've had projects working with Heathrow Airport to implement a user-centric design strategy to improve the airport journey. We've worked with Safran, a leading aerospace company, to develop new technology to improve user and customer experience. Safran's a French aerospace company. We've worked with sanitation services in small towns. And so this is around that MSc for sanitation for countries where water resources are limited. Water service management strategy for the UK. We've looked at things like quarry restoration, ecological restoration after mining. We've looked at understanding with the Living Lab how to retrofit and how to make buildings more energy efficient. We've worked with McDonald's around their hygiene and hygiene systems in the restaurants. We've looked at coconut supply chains and sustainable ways to reduce and provide quality coconuts. We've looked at green hydrogen production by pressure swing absorption with CO2 capture. And we've looked at, for instance, the algal biomass and how it can be used for bioconversion processes. These are all group projects. As you can see, they are very focused on industry need, and they're very focused on industry or sectorial problems. This is the sector that comes to us with a challenge, and our students, together with our staff, work on developing a solution for them. Then moving on to thesis projects. Again, these are exemplars, just to give you a flavor of the kind of work, the kind of theses you might be doing at Cranfield. It ranges from things like developing a tailored lighting solution to improve quality of life for people who have eye conditions. We have zoo, an inclusive language for the zoo for London, visitors with visual impairment. We've worked on circular economy transition pathways for water services. We've worked at edge of field treatment wetlands, so how a nature-based solution can be used to purify river water. We've worked at developing supply chain sustainability in the construction industry. We've looked at resilience and resilience to climate, to extreme water disruptions, weather-related disruptions, and the effect on small businesses. But then from a very scientific perspective, we've looked at the form and shape of potato tubers, phenotype, for the storage and its management by using hyperspectral imagery. We've looked at packaging materials for a novel tortilla product. We've done the life cycle assessment of a hydrogen fuel aircraft, and we've looked at the production of hydrogen-rich gas from steam gasification with biomass CO2 removal. Now, again, the flavor you get from those topics goes from a set of very technological and worthwhile solutions based on the hydrogen economy. And yes, Japan will have to start thinking very carefully about how it will decarbonize and where hydrogen sits in its energy ecosystem and its economy, as does Cranfield. We at Cranfield, and I'll talk a bit more about that, are actively developing Jet Zero and the next generation of aircraft, and part of that will be hydrogen. But likewise, you can see other topics focus very much on the food sector, on the water sector, and on the design sector. And this gives you a long list of all of the various companies that we've worked with in the UK. I can add to that we work in Japan with Nissan, with ANA, with Japanese Development Bank, with Sukoma Corporation. And Nissan actually, in fact, has its European headquarters here at Cranfield for the design and development of cars. And there's some very interesting projects we've had with Nissan in the past around driverless driving, autonomous driving, but also about that user experience and how a user interacts and understands that car environment. So this is a case example I want to briefly talk about, then I'll open up to questions. This is around sustainable aviation, and as you can see here, a Rolls-Royce engine, and Cranfield does work very closely with Rolls-Royce, and this mirrors a project we have at the moment with Singapore and Japan around understanding how to decarbonize aviation and the role of sustainable airplane fuel, but also the role of hydrogen. And as I talk through these slides, I'm going to describe how this relates to the activities we have in Japan, but also how it relates to some of the teaching facilities we have and the teaching environment you will join as you come to Cranfield. If we think about decarbonizing aviation, we have to think about TRL levels. TRL levels are technological readiness levels. And this again mirrors and describes some of the core Cranfield thinking. And this is some of the stuff that you'll be exposed to as a student. So you have a set of TRL levels 1 to 9. And basically the 1 to 3 tend to be the research technology ready levels. 4 to 6 tend to be the development technology ready levels. And deployment and commercialization tends to be 7 to 9. And on the aviation section, the research space is very much around energy innovation, developments around systems integration. So how do we put these new energy platforms on an aircraft? And then finally enabling jet zero. How do we allow people to fly, allow people to enjoy their holidays, to move around, to use a transport system without impacting the climate? This is Cranfield University from a different point of view. Cranfield University has at the heart of it an airport, and the facilities and lecture materials and lecture rooms and lecture halls all sit as a kidney shape around that airport. And this gives you a flavor of the kind of facilities and technologies we have around energy aviation sustainability. Here we talk about hydrogen as being one of the possible fuels, but we also talk about a sustainable airplane fuel. And you get to see the boxes in blue describe where we actually produce hydrogen. The boxes in yellow describe where we store it, the supply chain economics. And the boxes in green describe where it actually gets used. So Cranfield presents the perfect ecosystem of energy production. So how do we actually think about a decarbonized environment, environment society, energy transport, storage, etc. How do we actually move the energy we produce from one point, store and retain it, and then how do we use it? And in this particular case, of course, we have a particular slant to aviation and transport because that is our background. And then embedded all of this is how do we do it in a very sustainable way that as we transition to that net zero space, we don't cause problems along the way. So this gives a case example of the facilities we have around production. So here we have the example of Hyper, where in essence we are able to produce on campus hydrogen at scale. This is a distribution space. So this is where basically, again, on campus, we're thinking very hard about how we can store hydrogen, both on campus, but also within a vehicle, whether this is a car or an aircraft. And I know from experience and from my conversations with colleagues in the Japanese industry, there's a very strong drive to moving towards a hydrogen space rather than a electric space, because the belief is hydrogen will be the fuel of the future for the car manufacturing system in Japan. And here's the utilization. Again, we have the aircraft you see in the bottom is a hydrogen fuel cell 18-seater, and it actually flies on hydrogen. And we've developed that at Cranfield. It flies, it works. So how does this work together? Well, this is a new investment we have around hydrogen. You can see all the various big brand names in the UK. We are actively speaking to Japanese colleagues, and we hope to start involving more of the Japanese colleagues. So we hope to see Nissan on that. We hope to see some of the other big Japanese ANA, etc., on this particular investment. And on that, thank you very much. I believe I've left 15 minutes for questions. I'm quite happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much for your presentation. はい。 それではですね、今からの質問の、時間となるんですけれども、ご質問ある方いらっしゃいますでしょうか？もしご質問ありましたら、チャットボックスの方にですね、日本語でも英語でも構いませんので、質問を、入れていただけますと幸いです。私の方で読み上げさせていただきます。はい。何かご質問ございますでしょうか？Ron, can I ask a question about application? So I wonder if some courses require like a portfolio or extra requirement when they apply for your MSc courses. Are there any courses that require like portfolio or extra?
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
Sorry. Do some of your MSc courses require portfolio or extra assignment or something?
So our courses, the assignments all tend to be either oral or written assignments. There is, as far as I hear, there's no formal examination. It is all a set of oral or written assignments, and they tend to be problem-based learning. So we will put a practical problem in front of our students and see how they resolve that in terms of a solution.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure when they make application for your MSc courses, yeah. So basically students need to submit like a personal statement or reference or those application documents.
So for the application, so basically, yes, so there's a small personal statement for the application, but it's not long. And then the other thing is for the application, basically, we need to see the grades from their previous institution, and a personal statement, yes. But it's a small, it's only like a paragraph.
Thank you. はい。菅の際にですね、必要な書類等、確認をしたんですけれども、はい。基本的には、志望動機証ですとか、推薦状とかですね、あと、学校の成績というのも、重要になってきますので、大学の GPA ですね、など、しっかりとご確認、いただけたらと思います。はい。はい。他にご質問ありますでしょうか？What about like a career support or internship opportunity? Do you have any support for this?
We do. We do both career support and intern support. So a number of my MSc students have done their thesis work at companies. And I would argue doing an MSc at Cranfield is almost like 1 year internship with companies, because you're so busy working with companies all the time that in effect your MSc is the equivalent of spending an entire year doing an internship for a variety of companies and other organizations, because we're so focused on that company space. But it is eminently possible that both the group project or your thesis project becomes, you do the thesis project at the company, so in effect it becomes an internship.
Thank you very much for your answer. はい。インターンシップとかですね、キャリアサポートについても、修士課程の中で、受けられるということで、シーセスですね、そういったプロジェクトを、どこかの、企業とかで、そういったプロジェクトを行っていくというような、構成にもなっているようですので、はい。そういった、インターンシップとか、キャリアのサポートもしっかり、はい、受けられるというような形になってますね。詳細、大学のコースページにも載っているかと思いますので、そちら気になる方はぜひご覧いただけたらと思います。はい。はい。他にご質問ありますでしょうか？はい。そうですね。特にないようでしたら、これで本日のウェビナーですね、終了させていただけたらと思います。 そうですね。本日のウェビナーなんですけれども、YouTube 上でもご覧いただけますので、ぜひ、もしお時間ありましたら、後ほど YouTube 上でもご覧いただけたらと思います。で、もし、弊社のカウンセリングとか、質のサポートをご希望という場合ですね、弊社の方にお問い合わせいただけましたら、いろいろとご質問等お答えさせていただけますので、ぜひ、お問い合わせいただけたらと思います。ありがとうございます。Ron, we don't have questions anymore, so we are finishing today's webinar. And then today's webinar will be on YouTube as well, so the student can see today's your presentation later. So yeah,
Thank you.
so
ありがとうござい
yeah,
ます。
yeah. Thank you very much for your time today.
ありがとうございます。Thank you.
はい。はい。それでは、はい、今日は、終了とさせていただきます。それでは皆さんありがとうございました。Thank you very much. Bye bye.
ありがとうございます。バイバイ。